Marshal Magincalda was a United States Marine who came to me because he was being accused of murder. The case later became known as the Pendleton 8.
Well, you know, they're trying to throw away your life and everything you've worked for. And, you know, you make a bad mistake at a normal job, it's not the end of the world.
They were accusing him of capital murder, which means if convicted, he would be executed by the Marine Corps.
We got taken out of the field in Iraq and sent directly to confinement on Camp Pendleton. We didn't get to go home. We were in the brig. That's when I met Joe.
5 Marines and 1 corpsman were going to testify against Marshall at trial. And everybody said, including the experts, this was a case that could not be won.
It is a tough situation when your back is against the wall. You may or may not know what the right thing to do is. You gotta have someone there who's able to get through all the minutia, all the legal detail that you don't know about, because that is not your MOS, that is not what you have been focused on. And Joe was there for me. He always informed me very, very well. And not only that, he was like, man, I'm getting emotional, sorry.
Marshall had very, very bad PTSD, and the military had done it to him by constantly putting Marshal Magincalda in combat around the worst conditions that day after day after day damaged his brain to the point he didn't think the same way as everybody else.
I was on my 3rd deployment. Prior to that, my 1st deployment pushed to Baghdad in 2003. I was in the Battle of Fallujah.
The Marine Corps and the military didn't want to accept any responsibility for that. We made sure they were going to, and we did. And by the time the jury was done listening to who this person was, and the sacrifices, the incredible sacrifices that he went through for his fellow Marines, to the point where the deployment before this one in Hamdaniya, Thomas, one of the other Pendleton 8, was due to walk through a door based on seeing a boy who was put out in the street as bait and then run up into this door. That usually means there's something bad behind that door. And Marshall felt bad for Thomas because it wasn't his turn, but he always stepped up, Thomas did, and Marshall wasn't having it and pushed him aside gently and said, look, you're always doing it ain't fair to you. I'll take this one. That door opened. Standing right there in the doorway was the boy's father with a shotgun, point blank, and shot Marshall right in the chest and blew him back down the stairs. He had Kevlar on, so he survived the blast. But that's the kind of person, that's the kind of Marine he was. And that's why the jury decided he needed saving, because he put others always before he put himself.
This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart Gold Star in lieu of second award.
While we were litigating the case and preparing for trial, I'd pushed hard to have the military reconsider his Purple Heart. And after we won the case, the citation came through and it was official. They had awarded him a 3rd Purple Heart.
My attorney, Mr. Joseph Lowe, sir.
And to a great surprise to myself, he asked a civilian like myself to pin that on him. That Purple Heart that he'd earned. It's one of the greatest honors I've ever had in my life, if not the greatest honor.
Not only was I able to, alleviate my legal situation, but I was able to also get the counseling I needed. I was able to get my honorable discharge, which allowed me to use my GI Bill, so I was able to go to college. And now, years later, I've gone to college and I'm actually studying for law school. I'm in contact with the American Bar Association, so I'm making sure through connections I've actually made, through this situation, I've been able to have this bright future ahead of me, and I've been able to make so many new friends and get all these supportive people in my life who've been through similar situations. And it all comes down to my relationship with Joe, not only as an attorney, but he's a friend. He's definitely a friend.
After the case, we stayed very close, Marshall and myself, And one day he came to my office and he presented me with this letter that he'd written to me. I read it and it said this: "If you have ever been in a firefight, you know what it's like to have your life in someone else's hands. Inside that courtroom for me was like combat, with my life on the line. I had to be able to trust my lawyer just like I trusted Marines in Iraq. Joe saved my life. He went to Hamdaniya, Iraq, in the Sunni Triangle to gather facts for my defense, literally putting his life on the line to help me. In the end, my advice is always, trust your gut first, but remember, you're only as strong as the man to your left and to your right. Joe was the only lawyer strong enough to stand up for me when every other lawyer wanted to plea out and fold. Like I said, I wouldn't trust my life to anyone else. Semper Fi, Corporal Marshal Magincalda Jr., USMC."